finally back with Lou. Lou, you are one of my favorite people to interview. I think we've done this every year for the last 4 years. I've enjoyed Crypto Mondays for several years now. I know that you're one of the co-founders with that. You're also working on blockchain co-investors, and you have so many things that you're always involved in. But the primary thing that matters to you, that you speak about and the action really shows forth, is community. And there's never been a greater environment than Web3 and the NFT world for community to thrive. For folks that don't know who you are, can you please introduce yourself and share a bit about what's keeping you busy today?
Sure. So Ian, always great to be back with you. I can't believe it's going to be the 4th year now for NFTNYC. And last year was so amazing. I can't even imagine what this year's going to be like. So I'm Lou Kerner, and I describe myself as having seen the crypto light on June 29th, 2017. And what I saw was, for the first time in history, we had a tool set to solve for the community instead of the man in the middle. And I thought that that was going to be the biggest thing to happen in human history. And I spend the majority of my time, my day job is I'm a partner at Blockchain Co-Investors, and we're the largest crypto fund of funds. We also do one-off investments, and about 6 months ago, we IPO'd a crypto SPAC. So a lot there to keep me busy, and then involved in other projects. But the one that's by wide margin has profiles, Crypto Mondays, which is a crypto meetup I started in New York on January 2018. And I was just in Lisbon, for example, the 77th city, to host a Crypto Mondays. Crypto Mondays was wrong.
Yeah, it's amazing the way that Crypto Mondays have been in communities that have taken it and created whatever they want. I mean, the expression in Puerto Rico is different than the expression in other places, right? Talk with me a bit about your background with community development, because this has been a consistent thing for decades for you. And it's one of the things you bring to our environment is the wisdom and just going through the process of building communities pre-web, Web 1, Web 2. So give us some context for that.
Sure. Well, I mean, my immersion in community really started in 2003 when, with the original founder, I took over a site called Bull. And it was 500,000 kids, and it was a social network. It was an early social network. And over the next 3 years, we grew from 500,000 kids to 23 million kids. We were the largest social network in the world before MySpace blew by us. So, I spent those 3 years thinking deeply about community, having no idea that, 15 years later would be the most important thing, in my view, in the world.
And how do you feel about the way communities have been developed and thriving, and some communities have just completely fallen apart, maybe because they were focused on something like the crypto price all-time high or the floor price of an NFT, and when things didn't match expectations, people abandoned ship. So what's the survey of the land right now in Web3, the metaverse, all things NFT when it comes to community? What are people doing right? And what are some landmines that you see people walking on and blowing their communities up that if they just were aware, like, don't do that, that's not good for community. So give us some thoughts on kind of the state of things as they are today.
Sure. Well, at a high level, I define a community as an ecosystem where, when it works, everyone gets more out of it than they give. And that's really magical. If we look across the landscape today, I think it's hard to argue that, that one of, if not the greatest community in crypto is Bored Apes, right? Because if you've been holding a Bored Ape, you have gotten more and more and more, and it's really remarkable. And there are other obviously amazing communities. East Denver 2020 was a seminal time for me because I got to experience the overpowering visceral sense of the crypto community. And it was, Ethereum had been down 90% the previous year, so there weren't people who were there for the money. And I don't mind people who are there for the money. God bless. I think we should welcome them with open arms. Because they do come, they do help the community, but we have to appreciate that for the people who come for the money, when the money leaves, those people are going to leave. So if all your project is about is money, you might have a good run, but I think in the long run, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. You do a talk oftentimes. I mean, everybody wants you to speak at their conference, as they should. But one of the talks that's consistent is this thought on 7 things about community that you'll share. Maybe not hit all 7 unless you'd like to, but can you walk us through at a high level some of just the consistent things that you've been sharing in context of conferences and gatherings when it comes to community that people need to be aware of?
Sure. So I mean, I'll share one more, which I think is the most important one. I shared the first one, which is the most important one, which is just the definition of, an ecosystem where everyone gets out of it more than they put in. And I think when everybody distills, when I ask people all the time, what's your definition of community? Almost all the time it can be distilled down to wanting to be part of an ecosystem where they're getting more out of it than they put in. And I have one corollary to that, and that's that communities can scale highly correlated to what I call value delta. And what value delta is community produces something for the community members at a cost of A. Community members get it and value it at B. And the bigger the positive difference between A and B, the bigger the community can become. And that's why the biggest communities in the world are the things with the largest value delta. We have a collective name for them. We call those things religions because they produce faith at 50 cents a book, and people often value it more than their whole life. And that's why they're such amazing communities. It's why they scale to billions of people and last thousands of years. And I think to some degree, every community is kind of trying to build its own little religion.
So let's talk about this. So how do you think religious institutions will do when Web3 takes full hold? And of course, it's not going to be the same for everybody, right? Some will absolutely thrive. Many will just completely implode and fall apart. Others will be somewhere in between. But when you think about, the 2 billion people in the world that are Christians or Catholics, and almost 1 billion people in the world are, Buddhists and Muslims. And so there's a lot of people that are part of these religious faith communities. So when these different decentralized technology and automation are implemented, it's going to affect donations. It's going to affect everything around how religious institutions do things today. How do you think that they'll fare over the next decade with all the Web3 changes?
I got to assume that they're going to thrive because this is a whole new tool set to solve for the community. So all of those religions can take these tools and really provide their members more and more and more utility. And ultimately, if they're really good at doing that, and I'm sure that some will be really good at doing that, then I think they're going to see growth. All else being equal, there are obviously a lot of other cross currents going on. That's it generally global decline in religion, but they religions kind of have been around for thousands of years, again, because they provide a lot of utility to their members. And, I think now they're just going to be able to provide more.
So let's just say hypothetically, Pope Francis and the Dalai Lama brought kind of their young hotshot strategy tech teams together, and they brought you in. Maybe they brought some other peers in. And the question they asked you is, what decisions can we make as institutions this year and this decade that would give us the greatest possible chance to serve our community? Let's say they came with good motives and good intent. What might you coach these highly responsible, with a tremendous amount of authority, these people and their teams to do over the course of the next year, over the course of the next decade, that would allow them to have the greatest chance to thrive, not for the institution, but ideally for the community that they're supposed to serve?
And sure, and again, this is a very macro answer, but it really does come back to how do they give their members utility? And all members aren't the same, right? I'm sure that members of communities can come for different reasons. And so, what are the major reasons, and how can they figure out how to give those members more of that? And maybe they can find new things that that they haven't even touched upon, ways that they can provide utility, leveraging this tool set.
Do you think that there'll be more bleeding together with business institutions, art communities, religious institutions? Do you think more of these groups will kind of blend together and create symphonies in terms of projects?
That's a great question. Yeah. And so actually, now you're stealing my thunder, but that's another one of my 7 thoughts, is that I think there's massive value that's going to be created from communities working together, 2 communities, 3 communities, 5 communities. Imagine 100 communities getting together. The whole of those things is going to be massively bigger than the sum of the parts.
Talk to me a bit about community leaders. I think Pedro stands out to me in Puerto Rico when it comes to Crypto Mondays as an extremely effective community leader, built a good reputation, has empowered other people to be on the platform. What's the importance of a leader in a decentralized approach where it's not supposed to be about a person or a corporation, it's supposed to be about everybody? But of course, the loudest voice in the room does matter, and there is a need for leadership. And so can you give us some insights on how you see leadership playing out today and how you see leadership maybe changing over time as things become more decentralized on purpose?
Sure. I mean, what's been interesting when we first started Crypto Mondays, we said that new chapters needed 4 members and at least 1 female. And what we found was that the significant majority of the successful cities were successful because of 1 person. There were some that had multiple people, but in most cities it was really just 1 person, who put it on their back and made it amazing. And you go to city after city after city and see, whether it was Erica Gemma, who started Crypto Mondays Miami, crushed it. And the most amazing thing is 100% of the leaders who have built successful Crypto Mondays have been overwhelmed by what the community is giving back to them. And Erica, when the mayor of Miami decided to open up a 8-story blockchain center, who was going to get to run it? The person with the best community in town, and that was by margin, Erica Gemma. Mike Lamar crushed it at Crypto Mondays Paris, and it grew and it grew and it grew. And last month, I was at Paris Blockchain Week, which Michael Wren just, as he just continued to grow the community there. So, what's been awesome is it takes all, there are all kinds of different ways to be successful. Ultimately, though, it's about providing for the community, and then the community thrives.
So the last time you and I saw each other was NFT LA. We didn't get to connect. It was kind of like a high five in passing. And of course, you mentioned ETH Denver. You've been a part of NFTNYC since the idea was really birthed. I think we reached out to you first, like, hey, we're doing this thing. You should be a part of it. We love Crypto Mondays. What's the place for gatherings that are not consistent like a Crypto Mondays, but annual type of thing, a thing like an NFT.NYC? What's the place for them in this environment? And what should our team at NFT.NYC and our peers, what should we be thinking about in terms of how we, as a big gathering of people on an annual basis, can best serve the communities that come to partake?
Sure. And what's amazing is that again, I go around the world and every city gets this. And I was just at Lisbon and it rocked. And there is a similar feeling in all of these cities about making the world a better place. And that's an element for a significant percentage of people in any city that you go to. NFT NYC, is things are changing so fast, right? This is a community that's just exploding. And cities like Los Angeles, Crypto Mondays, Los Angeles, Ben Lakoff, Rob Price run it. They've done NFT Tuesdays. Rob's got a particle, which is a hot NFT company, and you get a lot more people at NFT Tuesday than you do at Crypto Mondays because the NFT community has grown so large so fast. And so you guys obviously have had this tiger by the tail. And I just think it's been impressive how last year, I remember you started with I think it was one stage with 2 days or 2 stages for 2 days, and then you grew stage after stage after stage, and then you added a day.
right
and so but you provided for the community, and people who came felt like they had an awesome experience. You took over Times Square, which was so amazing. So I think NFT NYC provides a really truly unique experience. And again, I said I was at Paris Blockchain Week, and it was crazy how impressive that was. And I'd never seen. I wrote a blog post about it, and I said I'd never been to a crypto conference where people were that well dressed, because the fashion industry was all over. All these major fashion houses, fashion brands had really deep NFT strategies. And so it was super interesting to hear from them.
It is interesting with NFT.NYC, the tiger by the tail is certainly true. I think the leadership of our team, Jody Rich, Cameron Bale, they are the right people to handle this new responsibility in terms of vision that Jody has and knowing how to work with people and get things done. And Cameron's his operational admin. He's just masterful at all that stuff. It is interesting how we went from, we were thinking maybe we'll have a few hundred people, maybe we'll have 1,000 people, and all of a sudden turns into 10,000. Our event was accompanied by 128 additional community events last November, which we anticipate even more this year. We had over 3,000 people apply to speak at the event just this year, which is crazy.
That's so crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And actually, and so last year, Crypto Mondays, NFT.NYC was awesome. We had James Zhang from Crypto Art House. He was awesome. This year, we've got Andrew Yang. So that's going to be a fun night.
I met Andrew Yang at Consensus in 2019, and we were in the speaker room, and I just remember thinking, man, I liked him on the internet. I like him even better in real life. This guy is awesome.
That's funny. And and just the whole event, last year, I had the pleasure of emceeing a stage for a half day, and like midway through the day, Jody stopped by my stage, and he was with this NFT artist, and she was dropping a new NFT, and Jody, she had asked Jody if she could pitch on stage, and Jody brought her to me, and Jody said, that said it was my decision, that it was my stage, and coincidentally, it was a good friend of mine who I just met the night before, so I was like more than happy to let her up on stage, and so Jody said, "You're up on stage." He goes, "What's the name of your NFT project?" And she goes, "My pussy." And Jody says, "I'm sorry, you can't go on." So you get all kinds of stories at NFT.NYC. And by the way, that NFT won Playboy's NFT of the year. Sorry, I've lost hearing. I cannot.
That's because I mute myself. So apparently everything I just said.
There you go. Yes.
What I was saying is that
that's funny. I assumed it was on my side.
No. Of course I muted myself, so I'm just yapping lips with no purpose. What I was saying is it's really, really hard to make good decisions. Do we bring this person up? Does this matter? What's best for the community? But it's a balancing act. And what's nice is that Jody said, "Hey, what do you think, Lou?" And this is the ideal scenario in our community.
Oh, that was awesome. Yes,
decentralize the decision making. Absolutely.
Exactly. I thought it was great. Yeah, and I understood why you didn't let her on.
Right. I know it's a
tough year.
Yeah, what are you looking forward to this year for NFT.NYC? Right, it's coming up in a month tomorrow. So, what are you anticipating? Some cool things during that time for you?
I mean, every time I go to NFT.NYC or you see things that you haven't seen yet that are impressive, or that you just for whatever reason you feel connected to. A couple years ago, it was Subducks. I ran into the Subducks community, and I just felt an affinity and hung out with them, and got myself a Subduck. And so I look forward to doing that again, and becoming a part of a new community at NFT.NYC. That's actually I think the greatest thing.
So when you survey kind of what's happening right now, what amount of focus do you have with blockchain co-investors? Because you mentioned you're a fund-to-fund, you mentioned the SPAC. So can you give a little insight? What is blockchain co-investors, and what strategic partners or LPs or things are you looking to invest in? Like, give us an idea about blockchain co-investors, because a lot of people know that you're involved, but maybe they haven't asked you the question to kind of pitch them on what it is.
Sure. So at its core, it's a crypto fund-to-fund. So it was started by a husband and wife that I went to business school with. and they started in 2019. I became a partner in 2020. Today we're raising our third fund, $100 million fund, and we're invested in 40 of the leading crypto VCs around the world. The elevator pitch that I give for it is that there were $5 trillion companies built in Web 2. There are going to be 10 or more multi-trillion dollar companies built in Web 3, and we're going to own them all. We are we own more, either directly or indirectly, because we also do one-off investments, but we're, we own pieces of either, again, directly or indirectly through VCs, more crypto companies than anybody. And, that's our core business. Again, we also do one-off investments. We IPO'd as Crypto SPAC, and that's a vehicle that we're looking to merge with a privately held crypto company, and then that company becomes public. We've seen some of the companies like eToro is in the process of going public through a SPAC. So it's just a way of bringing more capital to the industry. And then, I'm involved in a bunch of different projects, just the Crypto Mondays, probably one of the ones that I'm super excited about, called the Meta Collective DAO. And about a year ago, 20 of us got together and we each put in an ETH and got 23 plots of land in Sandbox, right next to the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and we're building a Web3 university, a whole new way of thinking about education. Because I don't know if you've heard, but the current education system is broken.
Yeah. It's the same as it was 100 years ago. Apparently, education didn't need to morph with technology or automation or anything we've learned.
Exactly.
Okay, on this is important. On blockchain co-investors, you mentioned it's a coin-to-coin fund, so you're investing in other VCs that invest in this industry. But you also mentioned that you, from time to time, will do individual investments. What type of entrepreneurs should reach out to blockchain co-investors? Because it's obviously not broad. We'll just invest in everything. If it's a one-off investment, what specifically is kind of in your wheelhouse that you're looking to bring in as a portfolio company?
Sure. So that the significant percentage of investments we do are opportunities we get via our VCs. So they're investing in the deal and they provide us the opportunity. And we've already done our due diligence on the VC, so we don't really do the due diligence on the deals. We invest in, basically 100% of what the VCs bring us, and so that's the majority of what we do. And the rest are one-offs. That quite honestly, again, we don't really have the resources to do deep due diligence. I was a VC for 8 years, so I've done a lot of due diligence. But there are, sometimes there are opportunities, and for whatever reason we think we have an edge. Maybe we've known the entrepreneur for a long time, or that was a particular area where we've made a lot of investments, make a lot of connections, appreciate that it can really be the next big thing. But our main approach is to invest in the 40 VCs and own the everything, because the truth is, nobody knows what the Google and Facebooks and Amazons of Web3 is going to be, other than there are going to be at least 10 of them.
Right. Finally, you mentioned the DAO. Each of you put in an ETH, bought 23 plots of land. Is that a DAO that people can participate in now? In that case, how do they get involved or do research to try and be a part of this 23 plot land and Sandbox?
So we're in the process of building our community. And so the main program we have right now is the Campus Guide program, where people get involved as part of members of the community, and help basically monitor the Discord group and the other social channels. So when new people come, that they can, have somebody there who can help them, kind of like an orientation counselor at college. And so we're telling people, come check out what we're up to, come be a part of what we're building. We're going to be decentralized over time, and hopefully we can come up with a better way to do education.
Well, hopefully we can come up collectively with a better way to do just about everything with smart contracts, automation, decentralization on purpose, and so many more wonderful attributes about our community. Lou, thanks for being an uncle to so many people in this industry. I think a lot of people are very thankful for your voice and your work, whether it impacts them directly or not, it's felt. So we appreciate you, we honor you, and we're very thankful to have you once again as one of our speakers at NFT.NYC, and I look forward to seeing you in a month.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks for everything you do and for everything in NFT.NYC does. Look forward to seeing you next month.